All right, man. So how's it going?
I'm good.
How's it going? Oh, good.
I'm good, Mr. C. How
All
are you?
right. Very
You're
good.
looking very fit and
Thank you. Thank you.
very
Thank
shiny.
you. What did you think of my introduction, by the way? That was my Joe Rogan intro. The one where I just go, hey, man, how's it going? And everybody fumbles around going, who on earth's this guy? What? Who's he? How did I do?
Yeah, you actually, when you emailed me the other day there, you said about we'll do it in a Joe. Is it Joe Rogan, did you say? I had to ask my daughter who that was, and she'd never heard of him either. So it was a bit like...
Oh, really? Okay, well, let me do the proper
Fill the
introduction.
blanks in.
So, the proper introduction. Well, hello, my little beauties, and welcome to the home of the web development revolution with me, David Connolly, the web developer extraordinaire. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest. You know, I've been saying to some of you folks that over the last year or two, I've stopped watching web development channels for the most part. And aren't I a lucky guy? Because today I actually have the host of one of the very, very few channels that I actually listen to these days. Today, I'm joined by the mighty Mamemeister. How on earth are you doing, you crazy rock and roller? Hello.
I'm bloody fantastic. All
fantastic.
Right. Thank you for having me on, Dave.
All right. So, shall I let you tell the folks a little bit about your channel? Maybe you can tell us, as if we've never met before and all of that, what you do and what your vibe is.
Yeah, I've been doing this YouTube nonsense since 2013. Very quickly, I was bored one night back in 2013, despite having a plethora of systems, and I thought, why don't I record myself playing a shite game? And that's what I did. I called it the Mamemeister 10-minute mashup, and I did that for about a year, and then I got bored of doing that, and I started doing comparison videos. So I've now been doing this nonsense for, it'll be 9 years, believe it or not. I do have, as I keep saying, I've got more features than a top of the range Ford Escort. There's tons and tons of playlists and what have you. I would probably say now I'm more a kind of historian. I mean, I do have a lot of video games. I don't actually play many video games, despite talking about them, but I'm just an old fart. The early 80s for me was probably about the best bit of my life. It was a wonderful time. It was an exciting time to be alive. You know, going from having no computers to suddenly here's a video game that you can move something on the screen rather than it being something that was passive. You could actually move this little mechanical lever and influence what was on the screen. And when I saw Space Invaders, that was it. I knew I wanted that. And here I am, a few months off, 55 years old, and I'm still acting like a child. Still love talking about it. I repeat myself all the time like my granddad used to do, but yeah.
That's pretty awesome. And it's fair to say, I think, that there's a focus on the Commodore 64 on your channel, right? I mean, I know that you cover other things, but would I be right in saying that that's kind of a favorite of yours?
I think the thing is, Dave, you can't talk from my what fuels my channel is nostalgia and love, and you can't have nostalgia for systems that you never ever knew about back in the day. I had a Commodore 64, I had a Commodore Amiga, and then over the intervening 40 odd years, probably in the last maybe 10, 15 years, through the wonders of emulation, I got to realize what the Spectrum was, and I got to realize all these wonderful systems that I'd never had heard of. But so that's why the nostalgia, the old rose-colored spectacles. It's the C64 because that was the computer that I had back in the day. You know, but I do appreciate other systems. I do try and look at other systems as well, but I always kind of hark back to the C64 because that's the ones that I remember.
Yeah, interesting. Well, look, just to let you know the lay of the land before we go into all of this, I don't have any questions prepared or anything. I think I'd mentioned that before. And I just figured I don't need any, you know. We don't need any. So the whole plan was just to show up. And I've set myself a little goal. I said just before we came on that there's one thing I'm going to try and do, and I'll tell you when we get on what it is. So here's my one and only little challenge for this particular conversation. You've been on YouTube for quite a while, right? Okay.
Yeah,
This is the
2013.
conversation where the challenge is I'm going to try and find out something about you that will make people go, fancy that. That's my challenge. Okay? And it's something that you've never revealed before. Think you can handle that?
I'm sure I can. I'm up for the challenge.
Okay, then. Well, let's see what happens. Well, you know, as you probably know, I'm a big fan of the Commodore 64 as well. I even made a little desktop app. I don't know if you've seen it, that looks a wee bit like a Commodore 64. Have you seen it? For generating. I'll put a picture on the screen right now.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Technology. And it's just a little thing. It's not a Commodore 64, but it looks a little bit like one. You've not seen that, no? Anyway,
I haven't, no.
Needless to say, I am a fan of the Commodore 64, but I think there's a slight difference with you and I in the sense that I don't really think it's necessarily a nostalgia thing. For example, I had it wasn't mine, but it was in the house. We had a ColecoVision, you know. My cousin had an Atari, used to come over, would play Space Invaders and all of that. These things happened before the C64.
Yeah.
And I don't really feel any nostalgia for them, you know. I mean, I like the wooden panels on the Atari. I can appreciate that, right? But there was something about the Commodore, man, you know, and it's not, I don't think it's nostalgia. I think that they kind of aced a whole lot of things with that particular computer. I think that the keys, even just things like that, the positions of the keys, the action on the keyboards, the sound chip, as you know, even things like the color scheme, you know. I mean, is it true that they don't have the color red that appears on a Commodore 64?
That's a good point. Is that the case?
Really? I read that. Apparently, it's the Commodore 64 has a color palette of so many colors. Now, maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on a second. Just hold the bus. With the exploding fist, I'm convinced that one of the characters is red. I'm sure it is. And
I too would have been sure. But I think if you have a look, you might find that it's kind of brown. Right. I might be wrong about that.
You want me to load up Way of the Exploding Fist to have a look?
I tell you what, load up Way of the Exploding Fist if you want, but you'll probably need to get a color picker on it. Or if you want, you could do a search online for C64 color palette. I actually, I'm fairly confident that they never had the color red. And
that's insane, pal.
That would be bizarre. If I'm right, that you would agree, this is a bizarre thing, right? We are on the verge of something mildly interesting, or me looking like a bungling idiot.
Well, I'm going to share this with you for a second.
Okay.
Share screen now. I'm guessing this is there we go.
Okay.
Is that it there?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So, well, see, I would argue
that's brown. That is brown. And if you look at the picture on the left there, do you see the one on the far left that's on the second row?
Right, yeah.
It says red. But that's not red. That is brown. You see that at the top there? I mean, I can show you the hexadecimal code for red, for like a perfect red, is #FF0000. I mean, this is in danger of becoming incredibly boring. But if we bring up a pure red on the screen, in fact, I'll do that with the power of editing as well, shall we? Okay, so we've got pure red on the left-hand side of the screen. And then on the right-hand side, we have the Commodore 64 version of red. And as you can see, they're quite different. And
Different.
yeah, interesting, eh?
Yeah. Interesting. I'd never really thought about it like that. But when you actually look at it like that, you can definitely see the difference.
Let's talk about something else that we have in common, apart from loving the C64. Let's talk about YouTube. Now, how are you feeling about YouTube? I have a concern, because I'm a fan, and there's only, you could count on one hand the amount of channels that I even watch regularly, and yours is one of them. But I'm a wee bit concerned because every once in a blue moon you come on and it's like, oh, I think I've had enough of this. I'm going to just maybe wind it up. I'll hang about a wee while. And I'm like, man, he's going to chuck it. He's going to chuck it. So what's the story and what can we do to keep you on board here?
Where are we right now?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm absolutely not chucking it. It's a bizarre thing, Dave. That people know. I separated from my missus about 4 years ago, and technically I should have more time on my hands, but it seems to be the complete opposite. I don't know. No, I still do enjoy YouTube. I do. I mean, I've never. I don't think there's been a couple of times where I've taken little kind of breaks because I think sometimes when, as we all know, you know yourself as well, Dave, real life can come along now and again and can just kick you in the arse. And there's been times where I've been, going to record a Friday Waffle and I put the camera on and I start and I'll talk for a couple of minutes and I'll just stop and I'll go, oh, I'm not up for this. I'm not up for this at all. But no, I do enjoy. I do probably more live streams now. And I actually miss live streams. Are fun because you've got the interaction, the sort of the real time interaction with people who are watching the channel, which you don't get when you're just staring at a camera. But I do miss the sort of using my creative juices, for want of a better word, to come up with like different videos and things. It just comes down to lacky time. It comes down to lacky time. If I was doing this, if I was getting a decent wage and making an earning a living out of this, it'd be fantastic. But that's not. It's never. I don't think that's ever going to work out like that.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, as far as channels go, like you have got far more engagement than me. As you know, I do web development tutorials, so that's a guaranteed. You could come on and say, "Hey, JavaScript," and you get subscribers. On the subscriber count, I'm doing okay, but on the interaction count, you are absolutely smoking me and many others and everything. Like, what is the secret of getting the kind of engagement that you've got? In other words, do you have any tips for anyone with a struggling YouTube channel, maybe?
I don't know. I think for me, it's. I think you've got to people who enjoy watching YouTube. For me personally, I'm doing a Billy Connolly. I'm going further and further away from the question, but sometimes you've got to do that to then come back again. I was actually talking to a guy from Virgin Broadband because I had to get my broadband thing made, and he was trying to sell me TV. I says, I'm not interested in TV. I says, I do not watch TV. I says, all my viewing is probably 95% YouTube, and I watch Netflix. And there's people who are, our age group, and I know that for a fact. If I look at the analytics, I think it's like 99.7 are male, and they're between 40 and 50 years old. So it's all old codgers like ourselves. But I put out. I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say here. I put out a sort of a regular. I have got regular things that I do. The Friday Waffle, for example. I've been making Friday Waffles since I think it was the tail end of 2013. Now I'm looking at the calendar. I'll be coming up to 10 years of Friday Waffles. I've probably missed maybe. I'll push the button and say 10. I don't think I've missed as many 10. So that's what would that be? 52 a year. we'll just say times 10. That's 520 waffles. We'll take off 10 that I've not done. 510. They range from, they're about an hour in length. That's 510 hours. I don't know how many days. Well, 100 hours would be 4 days. So 500 hours is 20. You could actually watch me for 20 days solid talking. And
Yeah.
it's no wonder that I have to say to people, you need to give me questions, because I'm conscious that I'm at that stage now. I have quite literally said everything I can possibly say about video games.
Yeah.
People will say to me, "Oh, what do you think of Nintendo's news about the new Switch?" And I'm like, I have no idea. I don't watch the news. I say, I'm not the last person to know about new things. I say, the only time I get to know is when somebody talks about it on my channel. So getting back to your question, I do the Friday Waffle is every Friday. Occasionally, it might come out here's a secret, by the way. It tends to get recorded on a Thursday. So that's a wee cheeky lie. It comes out every Friday. Occasionally, it might come out on a Saturday, and people go, "Why do you call it the Friday Waffle?" I says, "Well, if there was a program called Blue Peter Saturday, if for some reason there was a strike in the BBC and it came out on a Sunday, they wouldn't call it Blue Peter Sunday. It would still be It's still the Friday Waffle, albeit it's getting shown a day late." So I think so. I do that. I've got a couple other things that I do. I mean, I've got my Sunday live stream where I just play games. I mean, the last couple of weeks has been playing truly terrible games, and there's something fantastic. And I want your opinion on that. There's something truly fantastic about playing pish games. So I've got a series. I've got my Friday Waffle. People know without fail the Friday Waffle will be coming out, and it always blows my mind when people will say, I really enjoy the Friday Waffle. And some days I'll do a waffle, and I'll always try and get about 40 minutes out of it. And I think, right, and I'll go, well, that was shit. It was just me complaining about my job or about that. And there's nothing gaming related at all. And that's the thing. If nobody in the world is going to find the Friday Waffle. You're not going to be looking for the latest Nintendo game and stumble across the Friday Waffle. You're going to look at it and go, "This is what is this guy talking about?" I mean, I think the description is. I think the description I usually put in it is the most petty, ill-informed retro gaming channel out there. I mean, that's me. I just talk shit, and I say things that are factually incorrect, but I believe it to be correct. And people will go, "Oh, you've not done your facts." And I'm like, "Fuck off!" I'm just talking. If you don't like my channel, bugger off. But yeah, it amazes me. I've had some really nice comments. I've had people saying they went through a really, really low time in their life with depression, and the Friday Waffle put a smile on their face. And
yeah,
that's magical. When somebody says that to you, you're like, wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that.
So I think, to answer your question, Dave, for me, I think I did a top. What was it? A top 10 top tips for a YouTube channel, and also 10 things you shouldn't do. And one of the top tips that I said was, you've got to put out regular content, because I've subscribed to channels in the past and they maybe put out 3 or 4 videos in a couple of weeks. Oh, that's great. And then you look at it and it's not got a little green dot, and before you know it, it's 2 months have gone past. I think people don't put out too much. Don't do 5 videos a week. Do maybe 2 or 3 if you can. Depends what you're doing. But I think the fact that people know Friday 7 o'clock, Mamemeister's on, and I always get about 40 people watching it, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I do the watch with Mamemeister, where I just we collectively watch the computer program with Ian McNaught Davis and Chris Serrell, who used to be in That's Life. It's it's a crusty old program from the 70s, and but I just sit and I sit and try and make humorous little quips. And somebody actually left a comment and says, "I really enjoy these, but I wish you would stop talking over it." Like, well, sorry, mate. If you want to go and watch that without me, then fuck off to another channel. It's my channel. I'll talk over it because what's the purpose of that? What's the purpose of me putting it on and not doing it? You know what I mean? But try and get regular content because people get to know about it. People, believe it or not, look forward to the Friday Waffle. They look forward to things. I think that's a human trait that you look forward to. Go back to the good old days of the it's a knockout on a Friday night, and I don't know whatever, the generation game on a Saturday night. You would sit around as a family. You knew it was coming on. You would watch it. People like routine. I
can dig it, and I love the name, by the way, as well. Has that been used before? It's such a good title, you know. Did you just think of that yourself? The Friday Waffle. You just thought of that?
There's been a few people. There was a guy I've mentioned before, Steve Benway. Steve Benway's he's been making channel. He was on YouTube before YouTube was a thing. He was making videos years ago, and he had a thing called the Friday Talkie. And like the people that watch mine's, I used to look forward to Friday night, finish work, have a glass of cider, whatever, go for my bath, and I would sit in the bath and I would look forward to watching the Friday Talkie. And then about 10 years ago, he said, "This is the final Friday Talkie. I have said everything there is to say. I've got nothing else to say." He still makes videos, but he doesn't do it. And I thought, I'm going to pick up the mantle. And so I think I'm probably one of the. I'd be surprised if there's any other YouTuber that's into this kind of hobby that does something like that I do as regular, because, like I said, I've been doing it for 10 years, and I do feel a sense of I need to look after the viewers. I feel bad. I always want to make sure that I've got something to give back to people, because at the end of the day, they're giving up their time. They could watch one of many hundreds of thousands of channels, and they're choosing to watch me. I mean, I always find it hilarious when it's a beautiful Sunday night, the sun's shining, and and it's 8 o'clock at night, and I'm sitting playing some shite games, and there's 40 people watching it. Like, you guys know about a life? Fucking hell, go and watch Love Island or something, you know?
Aye. But you're good at the games, you know? I wouldn't watch games with lots of people. Are you aware of that? Like, do you say, I'm good at these games and I'll keep them? Or do you just think, I'll do some games, no bother? I mean, you are good at games, you know that?
Yeah, I think 100 people would beg to differ. The thing is,
I would get really frustrated watching somebody that was rotten at games.
Well,
you know what I mean?
That's pretty much me. But what people need to understand is, I'll say to them, "You pick a game and I'll play it." So you're talking about 20 systems, possibly arcade games. You're picking, and if they pick a Spectrum game, I can't play with keys.
Yeah,
and sometimes some of the layout in the keyboard, up will be Z, X will be down. So your keys are like that, like up, down. That doesn't make any sense. So you get all these random games flung at you, and they don't watch me for my game prowess. Put it that way.
Interesting. Well, I have a wee theory about it, and I don't know if it will make much sense. Do you know who Tony Robbins is, by the way?
Tony Robbins?
Yeah.
Can't say I've heard of him, no.
Okay, he's an American self-help coach worth about a gazillion. And if you search for him, you'd find a big, tall guy, about 9 foot tall, with hair and big white teeth, who talks like this: "Discover your personal power." You know?
Did he do the art of a successful something or another? What's it called? He did. He did. I think my girlfriend's got. I think my missus, ex-missus, I think she's got it or something. There's a book. I'm sure. Right. Yeah. Now that you mention them.
So basically, where I'm going with this is, it's like there's certain time frames where these things appear, like, you know, the 60s and the summer of love and all of that, all of these different movements, let's say, you know. And I think that around about the 2000s up, certainly peaking around about 2012 or something, was this I dare say, kind of Americanized self-help movement that took off everywhere. And people were buying books like The Secret and all of that. And so I mentioned Tony Robbins and everything. And the web itself seemed, maybe it was just me that was on lists, but the web itself seemed to be dominated with people that were going to tell us how to be totally successful, you know? And I think everybody just got sick of it, you know? And some of us never quite got the Lambo and the helipad, you know? And what has happened, I think, is that people have kind of gone almost full circle. And so I can only tell you as a viewer that my own theory is that guys like you, I hope that's not demeaning, but I think you kind of represent the opposite of that, you know? And it's like, instead of, you know, I'm going to be totally successful and perfect and, you know, I'm going to look a certain way and everything like that. You're the guy who's like, I'm going to be just human, you know, down to earth and honest and authentic and real. And I think that people pick up on that. And I happen to think that that's your magic. And I think that the games are great, and the retro gaming, I love it all. But the real magic, I think, is just you being an authentic person. And I really think that that is what people like, if I'm being entirely honest, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for me, it's a moment in time and space where that's what people need, because everybody's sick of having get rich quick emails and stuff like that, you know? And I think that there's a desire for a more authentic type of communication. And I think that's what might be, just maybe, what's happening, you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think that's nice words, and I appreciate that, Dave. And I do think, and I'm not being arrogant, but I think I'm a real person. It's like yourself as well. And the channels that I watch are where it's like awards and all. It's the guys just being genuine. There's no airs and graces about them, and I think that's what people have said to me in the past. Is like, listen to your mate in the pub, whatever. And that's,
Aye.
I don't try and be like that. I just, you know, when you've been doing this nonsense for as long as I have, waffling and what have you, you're just being yourself. I mean, I've seen me sitting down. I think, right, I'll if I record the Friday Waffle, you've got the camera sitting there, and you're like, "Hi, welcome to the Friday Waffle," and then I go, "Fuck, right, start again." And I go, bollocks to this, and I'll switch it off, and I think, right, I'm going to do a live one. I'll just do a live one, and it's amazing the fact that you've got people in the chat, and the first thing I'll say to people is, I'll need to apologise now, guys. I have got nothing to talk about. Absolutely nothing to talk about. I've got no questions. So it's going to be the shortest waffle ever. And then it'll be like, right, listen, that's coming up to 1 hour and 50. I'm going to piss off now. And actually, it's amazing because I'll do it and I'll come away and I think, hey, that was good fun. And I'll think, you know, the only voice I heard all night was this guy. And yet you feel like you're in a room talking to people. And it's I mean, YouTube for me has been a revelation. Apart from it being an outlet, you know, with the whole COVID and all this nonsense, it's given me so much confidence in my inner self as regards going to interviews and all that kind of stuff. Because at the end of the day, if you can switch on that little webcam and the blue lights and just look in there and talk when there's people, you know, I'm not talking about hundreds, there's a few people watching. You're out there, you're live. There's no hiding. And if you can do that, that's great. And you can then carry that, because I've gone for interviews and I've had to do presentations and what have you. And, you know, before I did YouTube, I would run a mile. If somebody mentioned the word interview, the butterflies in my stomach, and I would start hyperventilating just the thought of being in front of people. Now I don't give a shit. I just like, whatever. Yeah. If you can go online on the internet and talk to anybody out there, then you can go to a job interview, you can whatever it is, whether it's a relationship, whatever. It does. It's great. And quite a few of the guys that watch my channel on a regular basis, these guys in the last few months have all started to put out their own videos. And that's fantastic because it helps in so many ways. It really does.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. And communication is probably one of the best things we've got, as a species.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic.
I'm going to interrupt for a wee second. You were kind of, singing my plaudits. And I've said to you before, obviously, what you do is completely, it means nothing to me. I've got a grasp of kind of what you do, but it's just like gobbledygook. And you were obviously appearing on my chat, you made a few comments. And what I tend to do is when somebody comments, I'll go in, and if they've got a channel, I'll have a wee look. And I'd gone into yours. And when I was working from home, I would be sitting working, and I would, there's Dave. Dave's doing a live stream. And I would have it coming through my speakers, and it was just you talking. And what you talk about means nothing to me, but you're just bloody entertaining. And I like my girlfriend, and I mean, you put it, when I was talking about kind of knocking the channel on the head and all this kind of nonsense, about not monetizing it and all this kind of stuff, you says you're looking at this completely wrong. You need to, instead of shrinking the channel, you need to expand it. And you get that, the encouragement you gave me and the praise and all that. It's just, you're so positive. You've got a brilliant, you're like a singer. You can sing with words. You're like, I mean, I describe you to my girlfriend, like, you're like Billy Connolly. You can just, I don't know what you're talking about, but you're bloody entertaining.
Well, thank you so much. I wish other people felt that way. But anyway, did you hear that? Did you hear that, Traversy? Said I'm a nice guy. Anyway. maybe it's a Scottish thing. I don't know. We've got we can talk. Well, I was meaning to ask about that. Just another thing, and I know that I'd mentioned this before. Do you modify your accent when you come on YouTube, or is this not even in the slightest?
No, not at all. Not
at all. Interesting. No. Interesting.
No, not at all. I mean, I do listen. I used to watch every single video that I put out. Now I don't. I just, I mean, there's been times that I've put out a Friday Waffle, and there was one about 10 years ago. I put out a Friday Waffle, and at one point, my daughter, when she was younger, she'd walked into the room, and I'm like, Ava, yeah, I'm recording, and I kind of shouted at her, and of course, I forgot to edit that part out. It's like, they're going to think I'm a horrible father, but no, not at all. You talk.
Okay. That's good. That's cool. Well, well done. Well done. Very, very bravely done. You're actually a lot more well spoken than me, I dare say.
No,
for sure. But anyway, it's not about me. Who cares? Right. Well, listen, man. This has been a pleasure and a privilege, and long may you continue with what you're doing. And I hope that you'll come on again.
Absolutely.
I mean, like I say, I found you a few years ago, and I think it's safe to say, well, I looked through the archives, and I think it's safe to say that you had a rough patch, and I watched some of those videos, and I thought, geez, man, this dude's even more of a loser than me. Oh my goodness, it's a joke. Anyway, no, listen, I really, really appreciate the authenticity and everything like that. The moment I saw your videos, I was like, this is one of my best friends, and what a privilege to have you coming on. And I'm super, super grateful. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't let this be the first or the last, even rather. And if anybody has not checked out your channel yet, well, I'll leave a link in the description. It's right there, don't you know? In fact, do you have a website or address or anything, or shall we just send them?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Facebook, but I don't do Instagram or any of that bollocks. I'm too stupid to do it. So I didn't know anybody that was good at websites.
Well, ain't that a shame? No, maybe we can talk about that, actually. Absolutely. Anyway, I will leave a link to the Mamemeister channel downstairs. It's one of the absolute top channels in the universe as far as I'm concerned. I'm a fan. And thank you once again for coming on. What a great treat. Thank you so much.
It's been a bloody pleasure being on it, Dave. Thank you very much. And like I said, you're always welcome on my channel anytime. And we will get that drink. Absolutely.
Yes, I hope so. I hope so. All right. Take it easy, man. Stay cool. I'll catch you later.
Thanks, guys.